told your friend you're not okay? And tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, 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 as you fade away.
Hi everyone, welcome back or welcome to my channel if you're here for the first time. I'm Kerry. I'm an intuitive psychic, healer, spiritual mentor and author, and I have been fortunate enough to work with many other highly respected and well-known Australian psychics. 4 of us got together and watched the interview of Gus's grandparent and did a psychic investigation of the interview responses. What happened was really interesting. We all did this independently and then shared with the results with each other at the end. Most of the responses matched. So, because the energy doesn't change, and I've been asked about Gus's missing person case so many times, I thought I would do this again and record it live whilst I do it, so I could share it with you and maybe give you a psychic impression of what happened to Gus. Now, this is for entertainment purposes only, for those with a curious mind seeking psychic impressions, and it is not meant to be considered as evidence of anyone's innocence or guilt. I will be using divination rods for this, but often receive psychic impressions at the same time, so I'll share these with you too, if I can. The rods will cross for yes, turn outward for no, and swing side to side for not yes or no. Ask a more specific question. So let's get started, shall we? I'll just start the video.
The desperate search for a missing 4-year-old boy near Yunta, little Gus Lamont, was last seen playing in the front yard of his grandparents' property.
The person who has withdrawn their cooperation is now considered a suspect.
Are you hopeful Gus will be found? Do you have to say anything about the disappearance of your grandson?
I know that I've been accused of taking him from where he had an accident and died and taking him out and burying him, but to think that I could actually go out there and do something like that.
Okay, the first question that we're going to ask is, was this an accident caused by Gus? Was this an accident caused by Gus? That's a no. Okay, and the next question. Was this an accident involving someone else? And that was a no. Let's continue with the interview.
The desperate search for a missing 4-year-old boy near Yunta, little Gus Lamont, was last seen playing in the front yard of his grandparents' property.
The person who has withdrawn their cooperation is now considered a suspect.
Are you hopeful Gus will be found? Do you have to say anything about the disappearance of your grandson?
I know that I've been accused of taking him from where he had an accident and died and taking him out and burying him, but to think that I could actually go out there and do something like that.
That's an emotional Josie Murray speaking for the first time.
Okay, we'll just ask one more question about what if it was an accident. Let's settle the rods. Straight, please. Thank you. Was Gus's disappearance because of an accident? No. So that's confirmed that same answer about an accident being involved 3 times now. What was interesting with this is, as a group, and I will show you the grid of all of our responses just at the end, just for interest's sake to see what we got, is some of us did get no for these ones, and some of us got a slow no. So this is where interpretation starts to come into it, because a slow no could indicate that it wasn't an accident necessarily that happened, but it may not be something that occurred with full intent. So, you know, this is where interpretation becomes a little bit tricky when you're doing this sort of work. Okay, let's continue with the interview.
Very hard to get your head around the size of it.
There's a town before it called Yunta, which is about 300 kilometres, 400 kilometres from Adelaide.
It's in the middle of nowhere. I call it nowhere land. We have a post office, 1 hotel, 2 petrol stations. We had a flood last month, and the road traffic and the road trains were all stuck here for a whole week. We only have Telstra here. Hi, Telstra. Without that, we're sort of buggered.
And then from that town, it's another 40 minutes to Oak Park Station. There are 6 gates that you have to open and close to get through. You say middle of nowhere, but it really is. You can't see anything, and you could hear a pin drop. That's how it feels out there.
Who are the members of Gus's family?
Josie Murray is the grandparent of Gus. Jess is her daughter. Shannon Murray, she is the former partner of Josie Murray and the other grandparent to little Gus. And there is also another child in this that some people might not realise, but there's a baby Ronnie, who was 1.
And where was Gus's dad on that day?
Gus's dad wasn't at the property.
And for clarity, we should explain that Josie transitioned in the early 90s.
Shannon and Josie, they were married.
Husband and wife on the property.
Yes. And then things changed. Josie transitioned to a woman, and they are no longer together, but they are really good friends, and they run a business together, and they are business partners, and they run the farm together.
Okay, I'm going to ask this question. We actually didn't ask it when we did it with the group on Monday night, but I am going to ask it because I've heard it mentioned just in media snippets over and over again since this interview came out, was that they're saying that police targeted Josie because she was transgender. So I just want to ask that question. Did police focus on Josie as a suspect because of her transition? Right, that's an example, thank you, reset, of a really slow no. So that could actually indicate that there could be individuals with some bias However, there must be something else that actually led them in that direction to substantiate it, or we wouldn't have got that no. There would be, and others that it didn't make a iota of difference in their consideration of the circumstances surrounding Gus's disappearance. Okay, let's continue, shall we?
Just talking about Gus as a little character, as a little kid, I think it's fair to say he was a free spirit on that farm. This is a kid who didn't know the city.
From what I've been told, he was adventurous. Big smile, loved to explore. The land was his playground.
People leave one another alone here, it's pretty good. You want a nice, peaceful life. You got children and you're worried about the city, what's going to happen. It's a good place, I suppose, to bring up kids if it's safe. You know that the kids can play out in the yard and nobody's going to hurt them.
He often would go for a walk around the property, or around the homestead, but he would stick to the road. He wouldn't detour off it. He'd never go very far, but he would certainly walk around the homestead to the far reaches of the house paddock, if you want to call it that. I've never bothered to check it, but it's probably 5 or 10 acres, and he would cover all that, and no problem. I used to see him down the cattle yards occasionally and places like that.
Okay, let's ask the next question. Just settle the rods, make sure they're stable first. Did Gus wander off and get lost? That's a no. Just wait for the rods to settle a second. Okay. Did Gus wander off and get hurt? Okay, that's also a no. All right, let's listen to the next bit.
I remember looking at my watch when we'd put the sheep through into the right paddock, and it was 10 past, so, and we drove straight back without any hold-ups. So yeah, right back there at 5:30. We were on the front veranda, and Shan said that Gus was just down near what we call the bomb shelter playing, and when we had a look, no sign. And we said to Shan, when did you last see him? And she said 5 o'clock. And so in that half hour time frame, he disappeared. And we were a little bit concerned about the cellar we were building, because it was possible he could have fallen down there. So that's one of the first things we did. We looked, there was no sign that he'd been down there, no blood on the concrete floor, nothing. And so then Jess and I walked around all the buildings on the property and checking all the, like the swimming pool, just in case he'd managed to somehow open the gate, which is, he'd have to be 6 foot tall to do it. And checked whatever else we could and still couldn't find him. So we had a quick conference and decided what to do, and we decided we'd better jump on the bikes and go and look. I remember saying to Jess at one stage, we've got 45 minutes of daylight that night. So what that time was, I don't know, but after we'd searched on foot, but I remember saying we've got 45 minutes of daylight, we better get with it.
Okay, let's ask the next question. Did the incident that caused Gus to now be missing occur on the 27th of September 2025 as was reported? Okay, I think you know what that means by now. Let's ask the next question. Did the incident that caused Gus to now be missing occur the day prior to it being reported? That's a no. Did the incident that caused Gus to now be missing occur 2 days prior to it being reported? That's a yes. Next question. Just reset the rods. Was the last time Shannon saw Gus 5 p.m. on the 27th of September 2025? Did Shannon see Gus at 5 p.m. on the actual day the incident occurred that caused his disappearance? It's a yes. So, truth and dates, maybe. Just depends on the interpretation. Okay, let's ask the next question. Okay. Did Shannon tell Josie and Jess that she last saw Gus at 5 p.m. on the 27th of 2025? 27th of September, sorry, 2025. No. That's a no. Okay, next question. Settle the rods. Set, please. Thank you. Okay, next question. Did Shannon tell Josie and Jess that she last saw Gus at 5 p.m. on the actual day the incident occurred that caused his disappearance? That's a yes. There's a lot of information in that, so I think we might leave it here as part 1 and come back and join me for part 2. But before we finish up, I'll also add a couple of tables showing a quick snapshot of the results of all 4 psychics that we got a few nights ago, and I'll add in the response that we got today. Actually, there's probably just one more question that needs to be asked to finish off this section. So let's ask that one last question. Was that an agreed story that they decided to tell authorities and media? Okay, I think we'll leave it there for part 1. Come back and join me for part 2, and here's the tables.